Hi, this is Jeannie from Trendy. Now, this video today is not going to have anything to do with crafts, but I had boiled some peanuts the other day and did a Facebook post, and there were a lot of people that had a lot of questions. First off, there were some people that didn't know you could boil peanuts, and others were like, why would you do it? And some thought it was gross, and some liked it, and but I was not really able to answer the questions because I said, well, how many peanuts did you use? And I'm like, a couple of handfuls. Well, how much salt? I just salted. So I had to do some more. So I thought, well, I'll do a little better job and I'll give you some measurements. So the first thing you have to do, my husband picked these up for me at Walmart today. And I'm on my back porch, so I know you'll hear some noises from time to time, on the highway. But he picked up these peanuts for me today, and you won't see these year-round. You'll only see them in the fall because they're fresh peanuts. And he even asked me, now I married a country boy. We've been married, 50-something years, and we grew up with parents that grew peanuts in the garden or in the truck patch and things like that. And he asked me, he said, well, how could you tell the difference? He said, you keep saying raw peanuts, but he said, how could you tell the difference? So, okay, so there are different ways. Raw peanuts they've never been roasted or anything. They're what we used to call green, just because they're fresh. And they're moist. When you touch them, they're moist. And here's a bag of roasted peanuts. Now these peanuts have been dried and then roasted, and you can buy these, of course, in the bag. Now, when I was at home, we called the peanuts that we roasted in the oven, we called them parched peanuts. But anyway, you have to have dry peanuts to do that. So you'll see bags of roasted peanuts, and you'll also see bags of raw peanuts. And they are raw in that they've never been roasted or parched, but they're dry. That's not the kind of peanuts that you boil. The only kind of peanuts that you boil are the green ones, and like I say, they'll feel moist. So you can take these roasted peanuts out of the bag and kind of shake them, and you hear that? They're dry. These are raw peanuts, but they're green. See, when you shake them, you don't hear anything. So also, a fresh peanut, they kind of have the consistency of a pea. When you cut into them, they're moist. And that's sort of what could you see that? That's sort of what they look like on the inside. And then a roasted peanut, well, of course, they're dry, and the skin will flake off, and they're just totally different. Can you see that? Okay, so my husband picked these up for me, and I looked to see how many he had, and it is 2.44 pounds, so almost 2.5 pounds. So the first thing I'm going to do is rinse these off. Just got a colander, and I'm just going to put those in the sink and rinse them off. I've really got more than my colander will hold. Now while I'm rinsing those, I'm going to fix my Crockpot. While I'm rinsing those, I'm going to fix my Crockpot. I have just a a large crock pot, and I have these slow cooker bags. If you haven't used these, you'll love them. It makes cleaning up your crock pot so much easier. So you just take one of the bags. Of course, boiling peanuts is not that messy, but you know, if you're cooking a roast or anything like that, I mean, this really is a time saver. Just put that in there. Okay, and then we're going to take our peanuts. Now we're going to cover our peanuts with water. So I have a 1 quart bowl. So we'll just see how much water it takes. I think 3 quarts is going to be enough. And then we're going to use some salt. Now the other day when somebody asked me, I said, well, you know, I don't know, just put some salt in there. And normally that's what I do. But I thought, okay, today I'll do better. So I'm going to put a 1/4 cup of salt. That's a lot of salt, but it's almost 2.5 pounds of peanuts, so we'll see. If it's not enough salt, you can always add salt at the end. Okay? Okay. So I always turn my crock pot on high to get it hot. And then once it gets hot, I'll cut it back to low. And this will stay on all day today and probably all through the night and tomorrow. I mean, you can check them later on tonight, but not the ones that I cooked the other day in the crock pot. I put on about 4 o'clock that afternoon, and they were ready by 10 or 11 o'clock the next morning. So I'll check these later tonight, and if they're done, I'll cut it off. If they're not, I'll cut it off and drain the water. If they're not, I'll let it cook all night. I don't know that you can overcook them. But after they're cooked, the taste is, again, it's sort of the texture of a pea. It's just, it's an acquired taste, I guess, but we like them. So after they're done, I'll take them out and drain them, and I'll put them in Ziploc bags and keep them in the refrigerator. And we eat them right out of the refrigerator. Okay, here's our peanuts after they've cooked all night on low in the crock pot. They're ready. And you can tell, you can see, the water's turned kind of brown. That's just normal. That's the way they look. And this is the way they look when they're shelled. They're kind of they're tender, but they're good. And sometimes you'll crack one open and there'll be like a juice in there. I mean, that's okay. I mean, that's the way they are. And if they're not salty enough, you can salt to taste, when you're eating them. So what I'm going to do is drain the water off, and then I'll put them in Ziploc bags and put them in the refrigerator. Now you can also put them in the freezer if you have too many to eat at one time, and that's it. Now, like I say, I guess it's an acquired taste. We're from the South, so we grew up, eating peanuts, whether they were parched or boiled or what. So try them. You might like them. Thanks for watching.